The Chicago YouTube Accelerator is coming up, and it's about actually getting it done. We've got our friends Jeff Hampton and Ryan Weber joining us to lead it because they're doing the thing. Ryan's biggest client, who happens to be his wife, is known as the real estate lawyer on YouTube and has over 95,000 subscribers. And Jeff's law firm channel, Hampton Law, is sitting close to 600,000 subscribers. These aren't people guessing at YouTube, they're in it, and they're laying out exactly what's working and how you can apply it to your firm. You'll dial in your niche, map out your content, script and film your first video, and build the back end so it actually turns into a system. We're in the last month before this event. If you want YouTube figured out this year, this is the place. Grab your ticket to the Chicago YouTube Accelerator at maxwellevents.com.
Welcome back to Maximum Lawyer Live. I'm Tyson Mutrux, and I've got an interesting one for you today. I promise you. This is a heck of a story. So I get a recommendation for a new massage therapist that I go to yesterday. A buddy of mine's been, and I mean, we had kind of passed notes on massage therapists in the past, like, I like when they do this, I don't like when they do that kind of a thing. So he had an idea as to what I was looking for, but it was not at all what I was expecting. So got there. Really interesting setup. I'm used to going to like bigger facilities that like some more of the more commercial ones, because we used to have a plan, and I'd canceled the plan so we weren't using it as much, and so I wanted to try a new place, and it was in this office building in the basement. It was just a room that this massage therapist she has rented. It's basically her office. It's where she operates out of. That's her work. And I mean, the sign up process was super simple. I did it in minutes. It was crazy easy to do. But I get there and she started asking questions like, hey, have you ever done cupping before? Have you ever done scraping? And I know I've heard Ryan McKean talk about cupping before, but I've not myself ever done it. I didn't really know what to expect. I know that my buddy that referred me to this massage therapist, he had mentioned that she uses cupping. And I said, hey, like, you do whatever you want to do, like whatever you think is necessary, right? Almost like you tell a doctor to do what's necessary. I know that they're not doctors, but like, hey, when it comes to working out the muscles, the deep tissue, that's their game. So I say, hey, do whatever you want to do, you go for it. So the reason why I'm talking about this is because last night I take my shirt off, and she had told me, she's like, hey, make sure you tell your wife there's going to be some marks on your back. And when I say there's marks, I've got these, for those of you that are, I actually thought about sharing a photograph. I'm not going to. For those of you that are listening, there's, I don't know, like 2-inch in diameter, maybe 2.5-inch in diameter, circles all over my back, red circles, like when I say red, I mean like a deep red, like a hickey red. Okay. Like super red. Like they're all over my back. I'm like polka dot. I also looks like I've got a road rash from the scraping, where she literally it's just like it sounds, taking this metal rod and then scraping it along my back. Pretty painful at times, if I'm being completely honest with you. But it kind of got me thinking, because what the reality is that I got the best massage I've ever had in my life. At one point, this part was kind of crazy. I'm face down, and like at this point, she said, once I'm face down, like, we'll keep it quiet so she can kind of focus on the muscles and everything. So it'd been, 35 minutes face down or whatever. And she is climbing on the table. She is literally on top of me. I'm face down, and she's like, her knees are in my glutes. Great. It's a great technique. It was really, really effective. Really good. Did not expect it. It was all just an interesting experience is what I'll say. But ultimately, I got the best massage I've ever had in my life. Really, hands down. Not even close. I've had some good ones too. That one is really, by far the best. So I'm thinking, I'm just kind of processing this all last night, and I really got to thinking about growth and improvement and what it takes to get the results that we want. Because sometimes I do think people want um, improvement without change. So they don't really want growth. They want improvement without change. And to me, that means that they want the results without the discomfort. Um, and to put it into context with the story, it's they want the massage benefits without the deep tissue work. And the reality is if you do want the results of the deep tissue work, you've got to do the deep tissue work. You've got to either yourself dig deep into the tissue or have someone do it for you. That's just the reality of it, because humans are wired for safety. The brain interprets uncertainty as risk, and I think that's why most people stay where they are, because whenever they make a change, there is uncertainty there, and that's the brain just says, okay, there's risk here. We need to kind of button things down here and not take any risks. And I think that's what happens a lot of times. And if you think about like the first time you hired an employee, or you spent money on marketing, or maybe you got into some AI, you're like, oh, what's this AI thing? Or maybe you started to delegate some of the actual legal work to an attorney. Maybe you started a podcast. I know that there was a lot of, whenever Jim and I started this in 2015, there was just a lot of risk. Is anyone going to listen to this thing? I remember the first time I went to a jiu-jitsu tournament. Like, going to jiu-jitsu by itself is one thing, but like actually going to a tournament thing, like, I don't know what to expect here. So a lot of those, it's just a very uncomfortable thing. All of those, for the most part, feel pretty darn uncomfortable. And that discomfort, it's not evidence that you're doing something wrong. It's actually evidence that you're doing something new. But we interpret it as we're maybe doing something wrong sometimes. And I think that is sometimes what holds us back a bit. And so we have to be able to adapt. And adapting is something new. And so I think a lot of firms, they feel stuck because they confuse that familiarity with safety. And so they want to be familiar, but they don't want to make the change. So they feel stuck quite a bit. But the reality is, like, the bigger risk is standing still and not doing those tougher things that you need to do to improve. I think about like the biggest breakthroughs that I've ever had. Almost every one of them started with some sort of discomfort. Like, if you think about whenever I first started my firm, there was a ton of discomfort in starting the firm, a ton. And then I decided I had this really successful thing, this really good thing, and I decided to partner with somebody, which is a massive risk, right? You're really opening yourself up to them, and they're opening themselves up to me. And that, it was interesting that we had a lot of success with that firm for the 18 months it lasted. And then we split, and there was a lot of risk in that. But at each one of those steps, we've made massive strides. We took the massive risk of creating a BHAG that by 2032 will have resolved a case in every state. Massive risk there. We've knocked out, I think we're at 16 or 18 states now that we have resolved a case in, and we've done that through a lot of our referral partners. So there's all these different risks that we've taken, and we've kind of got knocked back a peg on at times. We've made massive strides, and it kind of makes me think like the Rocky, about it's not about how many times you're hit, or I can't remember what the quote is about getting knocked down, but make sure you get up is essentially what the point of it is. I wish I could remember that quote, but it's about really like getting back up. And so sometimes you'll take these chances, you'll take a risk, you'll get knocked back, and it does. I know there's times where like I've gotten knocked back and I've been hesitant to take a risk the next time, but we've really got to get past that risk. I know that I've hesitated at times after getting knocked back a little bit, and it's probably cost me a little bit of money because I was right about the call, but I delayed it because of a previous risk that I had that didn't go well. But we've got to know, it's one of those things where we've got to can learn to continue moving, continue to improve, continue to take those risks. And you will not improve unless you make those risks, unless you take those risks. And that pattern, it appears everywhere, by the way. Whether it's fitness, I know a lot of you know that like I'm into fitness, I working out and eating healthy and all of that. I wear a Whoop and get the blood test, do all the things, right? I wouldn't make the improvements if I didn't get a little bit uncomfortable, right? Like changing diet, it sucks. It sucked at the time. You know, it's one of those things where like there's times where I would love to eat some really bad food that I know that it's not in my best interest. Every once in a while is okay, but like on a regular basis, you know, not having Twinkies in in the pantry on a regular basis. You know, maybe every once in a while. You know, if you want a Twinkie, that's great, but not on a regular basis. But the pattern, it does appear, it appears everywhere. So business, relationships. If you want to improve a relationship, you might need to have that tough conversation. Okay, you might need to. That's the only way that you get past it. And sometimes getting through something it gets a little worse before it starts getting better. Or you know, parenting, leadership, you name it. All of those things, they take, it has the same pattern, and it takes a little bit of effort from you. Like if you think about weightlifting, okay, weightlifting is a really good example. Okay, you literally damage the muscle fibers to build stronger muscles. Like you are literally damaging the muscle whenever you're weightlifting. Okay, like jujitsu. Okay, I'm gonna use these things that I know. Okay, and you can apply these to your life in the same way. But jujitsu, like you spend years getting submitted and beaten by other people that are better than you. Um, and like you do all that, and then eventually you become dangerous yourself, right? You become the person that is submitting people. That's just what happens. That's how it works. It is like you as flying as a pilot, you know, in the beginning stages, you make a lot of mistakes. And if you didn't have the CFI next to you, the instructor sitting next to you, you'd crash that plane. You would really, but you're making a ton of mistakes, and they're letting you make those mistakes, but then quickly correcting them so you know how to do it, how you do it the right way. And next, before you know it, you're flying all by yourself and you're enjoying it. It's great. The nerves go away. It's like just like driving a car. These things, it's a cycle. And so like if you're worried about when it comes to your business and revenue growth, that revenue growth often comes after periods of investment of money, of your time, of your sweat equity, right? It's investment, it's periods of uncertainty, it's periods of mistakes, but that revenue growth comes, that profit growth comes on the back end. And those of us that do PI, we're pretty lucky because I do know that we get these bursts of settlements. Now, I'm not saying it's easy at all. I'm not, because we do. If you were to start an injury firm from scratch, you'd basically be in the red for at least 10 months before you start making any money. Like it's probably longer than that for most people. But I do think that we do see the fruits of our labor a little bit sooner than, let's say, you're doing like a family law firm or a criminal defense firm, where it does take a little bit longer of investing in that time, building up the clientele, building up the trust with people. I do think that there is a longer runway for that than there is when it comes to PI firm. But there's also, I think there's, for us, a lot more risk when it comes to PI firms, because the marketing, from the marketing standpoint, it's very expensive compared to other niches. And we also spend a ton of money. Any firm that's this is really applies to any firm, but any firm that does contingency, that does litigation, you're spending a ton of money. If you saw how much money we spend, we don't use a credit line like some firms do. So when I say we fund our own cases, we fund our own cases. So we spend a ton of money on that, but so that's kind of like that investment to know on the back end that we're going to get all that money back and then some. So, all of this, when it comes to these cycles, it applies to every single part of your life. Okay. And so, like, if you're that law firm owner that is refusing to hire because it feels risky, or maybe you're the attorney that, I don't really want to raise my rates because it's uncomfortable, or if you're refusing to fire that employee because you get anxiety over it, those decisions often create more pain than the change itself. And so you go through that pain longer. If you think about all the really difficult decisions that you've made in your life, I think this is a really interesting assessment for people. Just think about this. Imagine if you had just made that decision sooner, and how much pain you would have avoided had you just made the change sooner. And I'm right here. I know I'm right because I've got the same things that I have delayed that I once I eventually made it, I felt so much better. It's just how it is. It's just like, that's the irony of it, that avoiding that short-term pain often creates a longer term pain and a greater pain. That's the irony of it. And so I think that, most people, they assume the risk comes from trying something new, but it really is. It's the greater risk that you've got to understand is that it's refusing to change. So, like, really ask yourself, like, what is staying the same costing you? Or what opportunities have you missed because you chose comfort? And I'm asking these questions not to look backwards to like beat yourself up, but like, okay, these are maybe some talking points to get you to move forward. Maybe you address some of these things, like what relationships have stagnated that you want to improve. What business opportunities have you ignored because you're afraid of the risk? Maybe you're afraid of what people would say. What skills remain undeveloped? I know that early on when we were doing video with the firm, I got a lot of heckles from people, but I also got a lot of benefit from it. And people are like, "Oh, why are you doing so many videos?" And well, because it works. That's why the benefits greatly outweighed the cost completely. Like, we're still making money on cases I did 15 years ago, or videos that I did 15 years ago. We're still making money on those because it's the fruits of that investment that we put in early. Now, don't go watch those videos because a lot of those older videos are terrible. We've pulled some of them down and replaced them with better, more produced videos, but some of them a lot of them are still there, for sure. So I think the point here is learn to chase productive discomfort, because not all pain is good. But I think productive discomfort, it usually comes in like 3 characteristics. Okay. So it aligns with your goals. So this is a way of like determining the good pain from the bad pain. So it aligns with your goals. So give you an example. The massage hurt because it was targeting the problem. All right. The discomfort in your firm should move toward the result you want. Okay. Number 2, it teaches you something. So every uncomfortable experience should create some sort of a learning experience for you. And number 3, it expands your capacity. Okay. So when it's over, you're stronger than you were before. So the massage left me feeling better than when I walked in. I am very loose now. When I went to the gym this morning, I felt great. I was able to move. I had more mobility. Because usually I've got some limited mobility in my hips, like really loosen up. I didn't have any mobility limitations today. And so the same should be true for your growth experiences. Okay. There is this T.S. Eliot quote: "Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go." And I really love that. And I'm not expecting all of you to risk going too far, but there will be those that risk. I applaud those of you that risk going too far, because you will set the path for all of us. And I think that is really, really important. So we got to have those. But I don't expect all of you to risk going too far, but I do want all of you to take risk in moving forward so that you can accomplish those goals that you really want. So what are those employees you need to hire? Who are those employees you need to fire? What's the system you need to build? What's the AI tool that you need to learn or that you need to add to your firm? What's the video you need to record or the podcast you need to launch? That case you need to try, that you need to take the trial, or that conversation you need to have. Figure those things out and go out and take action. Because I talk about this all the time. The ones that are going to win are the ones that take action. Okay. Ideas are one thing, great, but you need to take action on those ideas. So figure it out and go do it. But that's all I have today. All I know is yesterday I walked into a massage expecting relaxation and walked out with a massive lesson, and hopefully you all got something from it as well. Make sure you check out BeccasList.co for the best and worst vendors to find and avoid. I don't know. I need a tagline for that so it sounds a little bit better, but it's really there so you can find the best vendors, but it's also a nice tool to learn who to avoid. And if you're interested in the association, go to maximumlawyer.com and make sure you go to maxlawevents.com to find out. If you want to go to the Chicago event, there's still a little bit of time to go to the Chicago event if you want, or because I don't think it's sold out yet, but it might be. So you might want to check it out and see if it is. And then also for the conference, maxlawcon.com or maxlawevents.com, either one of those, you can sign up for the conference. Have a wonderful day, everybody. We will be seeing you.
You know that feeling when you leave a conversation with someone and suddenly your brain is firing on all cylinders again? That's MaxLawCon. This October in Atlanta, you'll be surrounded by law firm owners who are building smarter businesses, dialing in their systems, growing their teams, using AI, improving intake, marketing, and finances, all of it. The conversations, ideas, and people in this room will push you to think bigger about what's possible for your firm. And honestly, there's just something different about being around people who are actually doing the thing. Go to maxlawcon.com and grab your ticket today.